Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Everyone, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans, the live streaming podcast, where your favorite hosts bring some of the most interesting headlines of the week to you and to our panel to discuss. Then we'll ask the question, is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? And of course, we always try to have fun with some shenanigans of our own along the way. My name is Neil Nix, and we have an awesome show for you today. The Olympics are here. And for the next 2 weeks, we've got some former Olympians coming on to share their experiences and their thoughts on the Tokyo Olympics. This week, it's Yvonne Wade, who was an Olympic hurdler in the 1996 and 2000 Olympics. We'll ask her thoughts on Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, this year's track and field stars, and of course, reminisce on her Olympic experience. Later in the show, Lizzie is talking about Saturday Night Live comedian Michael Che's alleged jokes about Simone Biles. Rob B wants to talk about the fertility doctor in Canada using his own sperm. And Gianni Storm is all about Disney. Well, Disney being sued by Scarlett Johansson with maybe a few more lawsuits to come. And as always, we'll start with a quick-fire question and end with Shenanigans, the game show. But before we get into the show, please let me introduce you to our lovely hosts for today's show. The professor, journalist, editor, and sports intern mentor, Miss Lizzie Enders.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday Fun Day. Happy August. Happy August. Today is August 1st.
Oh, yeah.
It is August
It's getting
1st.
even more hotter in these streets. Hopefully, you
Is
guys
that
are sitting at
grammatically
home.
correct? More hotter?
I know.
For Lizzie, yeah. And
For
I mean,
Lizzie.
listen, you should talk about being grammatically correct. Don't make me leave you at the top of the show, brother. Don't make me start off. Anyway, hopefully you all are sitting down, cool, chilling with the AC with a nice glass of water. Cool water. I have water today,
Ooh.
people. And then hopefully you had a good week. You had a good July, and that you have good things to come, good plans for August.
All right. And our
Thank
gamer,
you.
tech guru, and bona fide rock star with the rock band Fallen Machine, coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Mr. Rob B. Rock.
What's up? It's, you know what? It's been nice and chill here. It's been cooler kind of summer days, but it's been enjoyable. So just kicking around the yard, having fun, having raccoons crashing stuff on our deck in the middle of the night. You know, typical Northern Ontario stuff.
Yes,
Regular day.
Ontario. All right.
Trash pandas.
Trash. All right. And our model,
Cute.
actress, college student, and the co-host of TLS Unscripted, Miss Gianni Storm.
Hey guys, happy Sunday Fun Day. And like Liz said, happy August 1st, happy Leo season. And things are busy around here. I'm moving soon. I'm staying in Atlanta, but I'm moving from the hood. So I'm I'm gonna be in a yes, exactly. And I'm gonna be in a nice place and somewhere for Sasha to have more space, my dog. So yeah.
Good.
That's
Good.
awesome.
Now, Gianni, you had another fun episode of Unscripted on Wednesday, this past Wednesday. Tell everyone what you
Yes.
talked about and when they can find the next episode.
So last Wednesday, Olivia E., the co-host of Unscripted, we did a Wednesday random knockout. So we had like I think 4 topics that we just randomly talked about throughout the week that we had on our mind and our heart, and yeah, it was fun. You guys can check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard at TLSLiveShow.
And always, you can find the podcast at TLSshow.com. All right, let's get into our show with a quick fire question. All right, earlier in the week, actors Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher said on the podcast Armchair Expert that they only bathe their children when they, quote, see the dirt. They also say they don't regularly shower themselves, often only washing their faces, armpits, and crotch areas. So, what are your thoughts on rare baths? Let's start with Gianni Storm.
3 baths a day will make the world a better place.
A day? All right. Robbie Rock?
The ancient Greek scholar Archimedes invented soap because Eureka.
Eureka. Lizzie?
Robbie.
Wash your ass every day, people. Wash your ass every day, people.
I just wonder how many
But
people
every day.
complain when they stink on set. That's what I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Mila said
Probably.
she grew up without hot water, so it was not unusual to not bathe. And if you Google how often you should bathe, most experts say on average 3 to 4 times a week is plenty, and also suggest shorter showers because excessive showers and baths strip your skin of vital oils and protective bacteria.
That's kind of true. Yeah, that's kind of true.
That's
So-
why Black folks use lotion. That's why we use lotion and baby oil, people.
And
No ashiness over here. No ashiness over here.
But it's like the chemicals in water, unless you have like filtered water. I don't know how you guys are living, but it's like the water is drying. It's like the iron dries out your skin. So I can kind of see why they would want to take 4 baths, but a week? I don't know.
3 to 4 a week is what experts suggest.
But
That's
Ashton
strange.
and Mila
They
are
don't
not
even
taking
do
3 to
that.
4 a week.
They
Yeah,
don't
they're not
apparently
taking
do
3
that.
to 4 a week. They barely get in once a week from
Oh, when they.
what they were talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
so
barely doing that.
Mm,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yeah.
and I think one of our viewers, Jacqueline Robinson, she brought up this point when we posted this on our Facebook page. It's fine, you parent your kids the way you want to parent your kids.
Sure.
But why would you put this information out there publicly about your children so they could be
Mhm.
ridiculed? Like, if my kids were friends with their kids, I probably would know already that they were stanking, but they certainly wouldn't be coming to me. Like, no, we're not doing that. We're not bringing this bad hygiene into my house during the pandemic because if they're not making or forcing their kids to take baths regularly, those kids aren't washing those hands either. And I'm not sure about any of you here on the panel, but I mean, aside from my parents calling me Elizabeth every day, I probably could have thought my name was Did You Wash Your Hands? Every single day, especially when we came from outside into
Yeah.
the house. The first,
Yeah.
even before they said hello, did you wash your hands?
Yep.
Did you wash your hands? And my mom, she never believed us when we said, yeah, well, go wash them again. Well, go wash them again. Like
Wash 'em
we
again.
always had to wash our hands. We always had
Mhm.
to bathe ourselves. My brothers used to get, boys, sometimes fellas, when y'all are younger, y'all don't like to bathe
I know
or
what you're
wash
talking about.
up very often. My mom used to, like, my brothers would get in trouble. They would get punished. My brother
Okay.
used to get slapped, and I'm not advocating for any violence. But my
Facebook is
mom was
lighting up
very
on this
strict
one.
Yeah.
about washing yourself. There was no funkiness up in our house. No.
Jacqueline
Yeah.
Rob says trifling, of course. They, the adults, wash their faces
That's right.
often since their faces are what they rely on for their acting jobs. Olivia says dirty, dirty, dirty. If you're alive, you're in the elements, and it's dirty. How do you even pray if you're dirty? How do you even pray if you're dirty? Okay.
And women,
That's
as
easy.
women,
Cleanliness is
we
close
need
to
to be
godliness.
we as women, we need to be, keeping up with our cleanliness, especially certain times of the month. So,
Yeah.
let's
That's
not perpetuate this idea that we could just walk around stank all the time. No, 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 no.
Fred Hargrove says, let's
Mm.
put those natural oils to work. I don't know what that
I got some natural oils. It's called Johnson and Johnson baby oil. It's called Nivea. I got all kinds of lotions up in here.
And Ernest Cooper says hooker showers ain't gonna cut it if you work out every day.
Mm.
I agree. I mean, if
Maybe
you're
they
working
can
out
do-
every day, you can. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I think like sometimes you have a lazy Saturday and you sitting around doing
Not
nothing
the
all
way.
day. It's okay not to take a shower that day. But if you're working out, you in the mud, you working outside, take a shower. Take a damn shower.
Yeah.
Especially your
Travel.
kids. I'm sorry. Kids get into everything. Kids are active. They're
They're
sticky. They're
dirty.
grimy. They're sweaty. Kids
Definitely.
need to be bathed damn near daily if you have access to it. That's yeah.
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 All right, that's enough of that. That's
Definitely.
enough of that. All right. Great quick fire discussion. We'll get to some more headlines from our host a little bit later in the show, but right now, it's
Awesome.
time to bring in our spotlight guest. Our spotlight is on two-time Olympian Yvonne Wade. Hey, Yvonne, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thanks
Hey,
for having me.
Yvonne.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
So let me quickly introduce you to our audience. Yvonne is a retired track and field hurdler specializing in the high hurdles. As an Olympian, she represented Japan in both the 1996 and 2000 Summer Olympics. She was born in Tokyo to a Japanese mother and a Jamaican American father, but grew up in Sacramento, California. And as a hurdler, she has personal best of 13 seconds in the 100-meter hurdles, which was in 2000, and 8.12 seconds in the indoor 60-meter hurdles in 1999. She recently retired as head coach and director of the track and field and cross country programs for the highly successful UNLV Rebels at the University of Las Vegas. She is married to Larry Wade, another former professional hurdler, and she has two sons, Jordan and Brandon. So, Yvonne, I want to thank you so much for joining our show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Now, I'm not sure that short bio does your career justice because there was a lot more in your bio that I could have added. So, I wanted to give you a little
Yeah.
time to tell us more about yourself, so we can really get to know you. I just want to ask, can you just tell us something, anything that people can't Google about
That people cannot Google about me. Okay, this is a fun fact, I guess, funny fact, so don't repeat it anywhere.
you?
I love to dance. My first sport was actually gymnastics.
Oh wow!
And so until I
Oh,
came,
wow.
I'm 5'9" now, so
Cool.
got too tall for the event and used to compete, and they had to pull the mats underneath. They pull the mats out from underneath the events because my toes would hit the ground. I was so big. In
Oh,
in
wow.
being a gymnast, I also love to dance. And so I call myself a semi-professional dancer. And Liz might know of Black Gold, but I was on the Black Gold team at CU for a year.
Well, what's Black Gold? What's Black Gold, Liz?
It was a dance crew, I
Oh, dance
guess,
crew.
that
Oh,
formed.
nice.
Yeah.
All right.
But later on in life, I was at a event. I'll say it. I was at a bar with some friends. And we had a little dance contest of sorts, and the young girls were up there dancing, trying to win $100 prize. And it was wintertime, so I had long pants on and a turtleneck. And I was just kind of floored at the level of dance ability up there. So I decided to jump up there with my jeans on, turtleneck, and I won the $100.
Wow.
So
You had to let
that's
him
my
know. You had to
Nice.
let him know.
I had to let them know.
All right.
So
Love
I'll
it.
find that on Google.
So, was there anything else you wanted to add, or
Well, no.
did I miss anything off your bio? I might have missed something.
No, been a coach for 22 years and decided to put the stopwatch up this year and transition to other things. And I'm still going to stay in athletics and got a administrative job at our local junior college here. So I'm excited to help that athletic department grow and help young coaches, have a successful career.
That's fantastic. I'm actually going to turn things over to our sports correspondent, Lizzie. So, for the next few questions.
Sports correspondent and fellow CU buff. So Yvonne and I went to the University of Colorado together. So whoop, whoop, whoop. Couldn't find my CU buff shirt today. Otherwise, I would have had it on. But again, thank you for joining us, Yvonne.
Hold
It's
on one
been a
thing. I
while
just want to point out, Jacqueline Robinson says, sounds like you were in the middle of Rhythmless Nation. Sorry, I had to get
I
that in.
was offended.
was this Yvonne? Was that a bar in Boulder?
No, it was in Sacramento.
Okay, I was about to say because if it was in Boulder, then I can understand the Rhythmless Nation. I can understand the Rhythmless Nation. But yeah, so Yvonne and I went to college together. She was on the track team. Now, I think when I was there, it was still, when you were there, it was still the Big Eight, right? The Big Eight
Yes.
conference? Okay.
Hmm.
So I remember, there was like a track clique, so Yvonne was like the head hurdler, the head female track athlete. Not for cross, because you weren't cross country. She was
No.
strictly sprint. So what did you think when you were at CU Boulder, right? Did you envision an Olympic career? Like, how did that process come about for you?
Yeah, absolutely not. I actually, my track career was really short. I only ran 1 year in high school. And so didn't get many college offers coming out of high school because nobody knew I existed. Um, when Colorado had recruited me late in the game in the summertime, I took a visit to Boulder, and it was nice and sunny and beautiful. And
Mhm.
that was the furthest campus away from Sacramento, California that had recruited me. And I had a couple of other Sacramento athletes going there at the time. So I decided to become a Buffalo and got to Colorado with really limited track and field experience. So everything that I did, my coach then, Yo-Yo Yolanda Johnson Hall now, developed me into a pretty phenomenal college hurdler, and made an Olympic team for Japan. And that wasn't purely by accident too, my senior year in college. So that was kind of cool.
Wow.
So how did you choose hurdles versus just regular sprint?
Well, like I said before, I was a gymnast slash dancer, so that seemed like the most natural transition. I used to leap over things all the time, and those,
Sure.
split leaps
And
are
gymnastics
slower
too.
and more graceful. So I figured that would be a good move for me. And at first it wasn't. It was terrible. But I stuck to it, got some private coaching on the side, and got to be one of the best out there.
Nice.
And so then how did the opportunity to represent Japan come about? Like Neo said, you were born in Japan. Your mother is Japanese, but you lived in the United States. You lived in Sacramento. So how did that transition come about?
Yeah, so I got recruited to Colorado. Obviously, they had no idea I was Japanese at all. Just recruited a high school kid out of Sacramento. My junior year in college, we had some kind of NCAA violation or something, so we weren't allowed to go to the NCAA. So our coaches had suggested that we go to the USA Championships, and I was like, I don't think I can go because I'm not American. And they looked at me like, "What? What do you mean you're not American?" I was like, "I'm Japanese," and I, showed them my passport and my my green card, and coincidentally, we had a Japanese high jump coach there at the time, Hideshi Okamoto, and he suggested that I go and jump in the Japanese national championships my junior year, and I did, and I won, and then that kind of started the whole process of me representing my country.
It's amazing.
That's really
And so
cool.
then
So,
right after that, did you go to Japan to compete, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so I actually was going to Japan anyway to visit my family. We had scheduled a family trip my mom's family was all in Japan. So he found out I was going, and he's like, "I'm going to throw you in this meet over there. I'm going to sign you up for this
Wow.
competition while you're there. Go run." And I did, and I won. And then lo and behold, it was the national championships. So that was my first win. And they're like, "Who's this black girl jumping in the Japanese?" So before there was a
Wow.
Naomi Osaka, there was an Yvonne Wade.
there we go. There we go.
Right, there you go. There you go. So
So
that's a good segue because
is your current citizenship in Japan as well?
Still, yeah.
Still. So
Very cool.
and so that brings up a good segue to Naomi Osaka, because initially she had dual citizenship, but I think per Japanese law she had to decide once she was 21, and so she chose Japan, which had been representing her and funding her and sponsoring her from the beginning of her tennis career. Um,
Mhm.
the United States lost out on that one because the USTA didn't really pick up on her until it was too late.
Yeah.
But then came out, and it was announced that she would be representing Japan at the Olympics. For people who had no, background or information or familiarity with her career, Black people specifically, Americans specifically, were shocked. And they were
Mhm.
calling her a traitor or whatever, what have you. So, did you feel any of that pressure when you represented Japan in the Olympics?
Um, not I wouldn't call it pressure. I think it was an uncomfortable space for a lot of people that, there's other countries. You see black Frenchmen and black Canadians and black, Europeans, but black Japanese was kind of rare. Um, but coming more normal, I guess, as we go along. I did, pressure. I wouldn't say pressure. I think a lot of people ask me, like, do you took the easy way out? You took for track and field, U.S. is a very dominant sport. And they just assumed I chose Japan because it was an easier way to get to the Olympics. But I was always a Japanese citizen. I've always had my Japanese passport, and my green card. Have been a resident alien of this country. I pay taxes, but it was never an opportunity for me to choose one or the other. So my family is in Japan, and that's just how it rolled for me.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Rob, you got any
Nice.
questions?
Two-part question, actually. I'm curious what your measure of success was as a competitor, and did that measure of success change when you transitioned into coaching and directing programs?
I would say no, it did not change. So my measure of success when I was an athlete was just to get better every day. Like I said, my tenure as a track athlete was very short, so I wasn't really familiar with who's who of track and field, and who I needed to go after, and who was the one to beat, and who were the gold medalists before me, and it just wasn't that kind of pressure in my evolution of the sport. So for me, my mom always told me, you just get up every day and work hard, and be better than you were the day before. And I was talented enough, to get to that level. Had I maybe been more into it, and known who the who's who of track and field were, and focus, I think
Yeah.
I could have done some real damage. But I think
Right.
it saved me mentally, not to have
Mm,
that pressure on,
Hmm.
and
True.
kind of do it just, for the love of the sport. And, as a coach, former coach, and, mentor of young people, that's what I live by. Just get better. You start at a certain level, and your goal is to evolve one day at a time,
Yeah.
and some days aren't going to be good. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have some hard days. You're going to have some rough times. But at the end of it, you're going to come out stronger and faster, and get your goals accomplished.
So there's a question online real
Right.
quick before Robbie continues. Mike Winter wants to know, do you speak Japanese?
I did. I don't use it very often. So it's very bad. But I can understand it. I can pick up a conversation, and listen to what other people are saying. It was a funny story. As I was in Japan one time, and my mom had taken me to sightsee, and we ended up swimming in some lake or river somewhere, um, and I was young, and I had a tan. Obviously I'm darker than most Japanese people. So, you know, people are looking at me and like, oh my gosh, she must be from, she's American, or she's this, and they're, making comments about my long legs and my then thin body. And then I turned around and I responded to them in Japanese, and they're like, oh, sorry, we're so sorry.
Oh, I love that.
it
Epic.
was it was cool
I
being
love
able
that.
to do that, but not so much anymore. I
Yeah.
haven't practiced very much, so yeah,
I have a
but I
follow-up
can
question
understand.
after your story. So, did you, as far as discrimination, as a black woman as well, did you feel discrimination more, say, in Japan or here in the United States?
Mm.
Hmm. Well, I don't think, I didn't feel discrimination in Japan. I think I was just rare, that something
Different.
that different, so everybody accepted me, and I was very kind. And I would run through the airport sometimes, on my trips, and another Japanese woman with a black child would run up to me and like, hey, look, she's just like you. Look, look. They would be, yeah, they would be so
That's so
excited,
cute.
so that made me feel good. Here in the States, I mean, I went to Boulder, Colorado, so there's
Yeah.
definitely, situations where, people can get a little mean and ugly.
Hmm.
But I've never let that stop me from, doing what I need to do. People, people are people. You
Yes.
just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, you want to continue?
Yeah.
No, I will turn it over to Johnny. Let her get a couple of questions in here.
Okay, so my question was, is there a specific moment that you remember from either the 96 or the 2000 Olympic Games?
A specific moment. Yeah. So 1996, obviously that was my first Olympic game. I was a senior in a senior in college coming out. So that was, pretty much my very first international competition and probably the best shape I had been in my whole collegiate career. I had a good college finish at the NCAAs and ran well and felt great. So what happens is you're at a warm-up facility, warming up for your event, and then you take a little shuttle over, and then they have these like corrals before your race. So you go through your shoe check and your uniform check. And so by the time you get through all of that, and then you get escorted out to the main stadium where there's 100,000 people, it's like, raw, you can hear the noise, my heart was palpitating so fast. Like I was just, oh my God, what did I just step into? And in all of that, I could hear my mom, Yvonne-chan, That's what Yvonne, and I was like, frozen. And I ran like crap, but I remember that to this day. And I finished my race and tears just poured down, but it was a great experience. But to know that I can hear my mom in a crowd and she's this little itty bitty Japanese lady, it was cool.
You really heard her.
That's amazing.
I thought you meant like you heard her in your mind. No, you heard her voice.
No. Like I heard her screaming my name. I don't know where she was, but I heard her.
That's so sweet.
So
yeah, that is very.
And how did that experience differ? How did the '96 experience differ from 2000 Sydney?
So Sydney, gave me about 4 more years of experience and, competing against some of these top ranked people. It's different, competing in college and then going off and traveling around the world and flying 12, 15 hours for a 13-second race to come back kind of teaches you some things. So it gave me a little bit of experience in that realm. I had some training partners then to kind of help push me in the space. So I made it 3 out of the 4 rounds in Sydney. Didn't make the finals, but I felt good. I think at that time there was a lot of, just other stuff going on in the Olympics. As always, there's always some kind of drama. So, I was just in my own space. I didn't let all the other stuff affect what I was trying to do. So I had fun. It was a cool trip.
So
I kind of have a follow-up question here.
Okay, go ahead.
Just because you touch based on, hearing your mom in a group of 100,000 voices. So that's 100,000 fans versus an empty stadium. What is the impact on the athletes? I'm thinking, like the track and field runners, where it's very individualistic, where you feed off that energy, not a team sport where you're drowned out and you can't communicate, but when you're actually pushed on, egged on by that. So talk to me about this.
Absolutely. And I think about that all the time, looking at these empty arenas, watching the Olympic Games. And, for those of you who know track and field, not many people go to track and field meets here anyways. Normal, these athletes are just phenomenal. They train under all these conditions and they can compete at high levels, regardless if there's nobody in the stands or not, and so I think they've prepared themselves for that. They've had, plenty of opportunities, in the meets that we host here in the United States and around the country and around the world for that matter, where there is not that many fans. Different countries have different fan bases for each sport. But I think for the energy part of it, I think it's not holding them back as much as people would think. I think sometimes to some degree it might be a little more relaxing and to be, kind of normal and not have those moments like I did, like, and hear my mom, so.
I can see that. All right, so I was on your social media and I found this image of you with Florence Griffith Joyner.
Flojo.
Now, I assume this picture might have been taken around the 96 games, or around the 96?
Yeah, 1996 Olympics.
So,
so that was like 2 years before her untimely death. So what was it like meeting her and having met her? What do you think about this new FloJo biopic that's starring Tiffany Haddish?
Tiffany Haddish. Yeah. So meeting her and seeing her is just like just the universe just opened. She's so gorgeous and so talented and just, oh my gosh, it just gave me goosebumps to to meet her and be able to have this picture with her and Al, of course, Al Joyner, who I still know very well. But yeah, it just she's such an icon in the sport, and to see her record, her Olympic record go down the other day was amazing
That was
too. But
crazy. Yeah, that was
Couldn't
crazy
believe
for
it.
crazy.
Al. But she's just, her daughter actually lives here in Vegas too, so
Wow.
she's just an icon in the sport, and just to be able to have that photo, I feel privileged and honored. And then what was your second part of that question?
So, what do you think about this new biopic by
Oh
Tiffany
yeah.
Haddish? We had it as a topic on one of our shows, so I'm curious your thoughts.
I mean, it's about time. I think I would love to see her story. I think Tiffany would be a great person to
I do
role
too.
model. I do too. I don't know her track background, but she's
No.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
But
none.
she's an actress, so she can fake it.
Right.
So I think telling her story will be, phenomenal, and to see that happen, and to see Tiffany's talents. She's such a diverse actress, and to put another layer on top of that, I think it would be phenomenal for her, and I think everybody will be surprised. So if there's haters out there, watch her. She's gonna do well.
Okay.
I just want to point out a comment online before we go to Lizzie.
No, I was just putting my hand up as a Haddish hater, but
She's like, I'm the hater.
Oh, Lizzie.
Yeah, Fred Hargrove says she is,
I'm
but she's
hopeful. I am
training.
hopeful it's gonna be.
She is training. She lost a ton of weight, they said. So,
Yeah.
She
But,
did lose a lot of weight.
but Mike Winter says, I cannot unsee the lifted dude behind y'all.
He always
I
looked
noticed him
like
too when I saw the
he didn't know
picture.
who was sitting in front of him. He had no clue that they were sitting there. So he's just like trying to look at our tags to see, well, who is this person? So he didn't even know who Jojo was, apparently.
He does look lifted. But real quick, I want to get Lizzie in for another question. But with Sha'Carri Richardson out, who are the people we should be watching this year?
Well, obviously the three Jamaicans that just killed it.
I mean, they killed it.
Jamaica,
They
yeah.
killed it.
Yeah, there's so much new talent. I was at the NCAA championships as my last collegiate coaching, to do, I guess, and just watch the phenomenal college athletes that are coming out of the college ranks. They're so young and so, so much talent ahead of them. And I'm excited to see, what they bring moving forward, with Sha'Carri not being there this year. Obviously that sweep with Jamaica was inevitable. But she's going to be back, and I think even better, and hopefully she learned from the experience. But the Jamaicans are killing it, and I'm going to have to just give props to my other half of me. My Jamaica.
Lizzie, did you have any final questions?
Just in terms of the actual games in Tokyo, so it sounds like you've been watching some of the Olympics over the past week or so. What is your impression of all of the stories that are coming out, particularly one that the games should have been postponed for another year, two, with all of the controversies in terms of doping and cheating, or even Simone Biles and the pressure that she said, she felt that forced her to take some time to be in tune with herself and step away from competing. What is your impression? Like, one, would you have gone? Would you have gone, do you think, to the Tokyo Games this year?
Yeah, I actually had tickets. I was going to take my sons last year and had purchased flights and all that stuff. And obviously that got canceled, and contemplated going back this year again, but decided, it was just too much. I'm glad they pushed forward with it. I know a lot of people are, kind of weary that it went on. I'm glad, athletes, and you got to balance health, international health and wellness, and then what these athletes go through. So it's kind of, it's a hard choice, but as a former athlete, I know what they put their bodies through, and to go 4 years for a goal and then have it be pushed back another year and then potentially another year. It's difficult, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that. So I'm glad they went on with it. I'm glad that they decided to not have spectators. I hope that they're being safe over there and taking every precaution. I think, more people just got to get vaccinated. I know that's not a cure-all for what's going on, but at least it'll help in some degree. So everybody has to just do their small part. Don't have large gatherings and parties and hanging out and keep putting yourself at risk, to potentially pass it on to another person who's an athlete. I was at the college meet, and we would find out about one person that affected their group, that now 10 people can't go because one person decided to do something they weren't supposed to do. So it just takes one choice, and people work very hard for this moment. So don't sacrifice, don't take any chances, but I'm glad they went on. And then to the Simone Biles, conversation, I'm disappointed in a lot of the, comments that people have, for multiple of these athletes, Simone and Naomi, and, that they've failed the country and all that, that's, it's disappointing to see people who never competed at that level and know the sacrifice. Simone has nothing to apologize for. She has
No.
been the top, and to do what she done with her body and potentially get hurt by it, she made a great decision to pull out, because that's life or death. Somebody sitting on the couch watching them has no right to have an opinion about that.
So, I mean, we're definitely out of time, but I wanted to, because you brought that up. So, when we're talking mental health of athletes, I would think that a lot of athletes deal with mental health issues, struggling with the pressures of their sport. Do you think this is going to be something that's going to be on, like for the future? Athletes are going to probably feel more comfortable to pull out, take care of their mental health, just like they do as when they have a physical injury?
Absolutely. It's a different era. I competed 20 some odd years ago, and things are different. Everything is social media driven. Pressure now is instant. You can see how many people like you, see how many people make comments about you,
Mhm.
So that they're absorbing that 100,000 times faster than we used to. Because I couldn't look online and see my phone and see who likes me or not. I didn't care.
Criticism immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, it's immediate. So, to understand that dynamic and have, people be aware of that and know that these athletes, are under so much pressure as it is physically, and to multiply that by, public pressure and public scrutiny, it's a lot. So I think mental health is going to be on the forefront of a lot of things, as it should be. And people got to take care of their wellness for sure.
All right. There are a couple of questions. There's a couple of comments. I just want to try to see if I can get through them quickly. So, Jacqueline Rob says people need to be reminded that Angela Bassett had to train to play Tina Turner, right?
I hope we are not comparing Angela Bassett's acting chops to Tiffany Haddish. Like, let's not do that here. Let's not do that here.
Listen, I don't know why you don't like Tiffany Haddish, but I think she'll do pretty well.
I hope she does. Listen, even though I was not a track athlete, and I've mentioned before, FloJo basically saved my life, and that's for another conversation. But I'm a huge FloJo fan, huge.
Which is why I'm excited to see the story at all.
I want this story to come out, and I want it to be good. So I'm hoping that Tiffany brings it. She would not have been my first choice, but I hope she brings it. I hope she brings it.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Quick question from Mike Winter. He says, ask her to pick the 4x100 and the 4x400 teams if you were in charge.
Oh wow,
that's a tough one.
That is a rough one.
I just oh my goodness, for 400 I'll go 4x4, because 4x1 is kind of iffy right now. I would say Mu Ating is the 800 meter. Sydney McLaughlin, who's the 400 hurdler. I can't think of names. I'm causing a brain fart right now.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I know that's a tough question. I mean, you'd have to pull that off the top of your head.
Yeah, I mean, U.S. 4x4 team is going to kill it. So I 4x1, I think we're going to. Oh yeah, Allison Felix. Why am I forgetting Allison? Of course, she's on there.
Yes. Allison Felix,
and her story is phenomenal too.
Yes, it is.
She's definitely, despite everybody's criticisms or not criticism, but her plight and her motherhood now, she's gonna she's going to be a strong leg on that team, and as always. So I wish her 100% well. So that's three. Who's the fourth one? I can't even think of the names right now. I'm having a brain fart. Oh yeah, no, they'll lose terribly if I was terribly. I might pull a hamstring in the first 10 meters. For sure. I'm trying to think of who's the
That's all right.
guy?
Well,
Yeah.
if you think of it before we close out, you just name the fourth person. And so, really, I just want to point out, Jacqueline Ram says, the issue with Simone Biles reminds me so much of the pressure that gymnast Kim Zemesco faced years ago because she got off to a rocky start in the Olympics. There were and there were denunciations from the floor of Congress of her. And then Darian Winter says, Simone and Naomi should not apologize. We do not hear how white athletes have suffered from mental health issues as well. So, all right, that's all the comments we have time for. So Yvonne, I want to thank you for joining us, but I do want to give you, any last words, Simone, for any last words, or tell people where they can find you online, on social media, etc. So I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity to be on here. I'm excited to see the rest of these Olympic Games and see the phenomenal athletes that around the world compete under these circumstances. It's been a crappy couple of years, and to see people, just lift themselves up and evolve in such a way is just phenomenal. And I wish everybody well and stay healthy and stay blessed. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook still, even though, I guess somebody told me that was for old people.
It is actually, which is why I love it.
So, yeah.
And any shout outs you want to give? Any shout outs you want to throw out there?
Shout out to my husband, Coach Larry Wade. He was my assistant coach at UNLV for a very long time, and he was a hurdler at Texas A&M, and he also strength and conditioning coach for a lot of boxers. And he's going to be speaking in Chicago this weekend at the OSP convention with Mike Tyson. So he's a phenomenal speaker, and I'm excited for him. So we're going to take a trip up to Chicago and let him do his thing. So I'm very proud of you, baby. Shout out to you.
Very cool.
Nice.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look to have you back at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Thanks.
Oh, remix.
Spotlighting the game show and what we doing? What are we doing?
Roll it all. Roll it all.
All right. So, hey, she was great. She was fantastic. I enjoyed.
I love Yvonne. That was really good.
Good people. Honest, good people.
Yes, she is. All right, let's get into our host topics. If you've never been to TLS before, each week our hosts bring us headlines in the news they want to discuss. That host will tell everybody what's going on, then our lovely panel will chat about it, sharing their unique points of view on the issue until we see our friend Gingy. And then we'll know time is up. And that's when we're going to hear from you and take your online questions and comments. At the very end, we'll check with the panel to see if they think it was truth, lies, or shenanigans. For our listeners on Apple Podcasts, don't forget you can feel free to join in the conversation live every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We stream on all major platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Find us at TLSLiveShow or TLSShow.com. So, let's get to it.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, today we're starting with Gianni Storm. So, Disney wasn't so magical for a few of their stars. Gianni, tell us what's going on.
So, the Black Widow has a new enemy, and that is Walt Disney Company. So, Scarlett Johansson, the actress, is the star of the latest movie, Black Widow. She filed a lawsuit last Thursday in LA against Disney. No, Gingy, not yet.
Where that came from.
Against Disney. And Scarlett Johansson's alleging that Disney breached their contract with her. So Johansson said in the suit that her agreement with Disney's Entertainment guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release, and her salary was based in large part of the box office performance of the film. So the suit stated that Disney intentionally induced Marvel's breach of the agreement without any justification in order to prevent Scarlett Johansson from realizing the full benefit of her, the bargain. So this year, Disney has also released a number of movies both in theaters and on Disney Plus during the COVID-19 pandemic, including Cruella, which was starring Emma Stone. So now Emma Stone is considering taking over. Well, she's considering also like suing. I don't wait, actually. Yeah, she's also considering suing because of the breach of contract with Disney. So, yeah. Okay. So my question to the panel is, do you think Disney should pay these actors their money? What do you think? Do you think that there was a breach of contract, or what are your thoughts?
What do you think, Robbie?
I'm not a lawyer. I haven't reviewed any of the documentation, so whether there's a breach, I don't know. But that being said, just because something is lawful, contractual, doesn't make it ethical. While we're seeing a surge in the variant numbers, it's just selfish and greedy. And really, at this point, I don't want to see these actors get paid, so I will probably find a less than legitimate source for this content. There's a demographic that's willing to pay good money to watch a theatrical release from the comfort and safety of their own home. I really hope that future contracts from the media outlets will recognize this new reality and make it so that everyone gets paid their due. Everyone should get paid their due. But I mean, they've already paid her $20 million for this role, and I know that it alleges that she'll get out $50 million because of this change.
That's a lot.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I'm sorry. If you're making millions of dollars during a pandemic while millions of Americans can't pay their rent, I'm sorry. It leaves a really sour taste in my mouth. It sucks when actors that you enjoy pull this kind of shit because Liz, you're happy because I'm
not
no
happy
longer
at
in the
all.
She
ScarJo
doesn't
camp.
like Scarlett.
I'm not happy
I'm
at
not.
all. I mean,
I'm not in the
I'm
ScarJo
on
camp at
Scarlett
all.
Johansson's side here. I'm on Scarlett Johansson's side
Too,
here.
actually.
And you know, where are the ethics with Disney? You signed a contract with Scarlett Johansson. Her contract did not have a streaming clause in it. It had an exclusive theatrical release clause in it. And so you can't change. I hope you guys need to watch Judge Judy because she breaks this down almost every show. You cannot change the terms of the contract in a verbal agreement. The only way you can do that is if you make a new contract. You can't just go and say, "Oh,
consequences."
After the fact." And Disney made over $100 million off of the streaming from Disney Plus for not just for this movie, but for the what do you call those things when you sign up? Help me out here. My brain is flying.
Like the membership.
Subscriptions, right? They made $100 million off of that. And it's not just Scarlett Johansson. This first came up last year with Denzel Washington, okay, and Warner Brothers for the movie The Little Things. He was pissed because his contract was exclusive theatrical release for the first 90 days. And then all of a sudden, they decided they were going to release it in theaters, and then they were also going to stream it on HBO Max. He was pissed. And so after the fact, when he threatened to sue, they renegotiated his contract. Like, you can't just, I understand what you're saying about, okay, these actors and actresses makes a lot of money, $20 million. And sorry, the $20 million, I'm going to be very careful here because I do work for Disney, but that was not in good faith that they released how much that she made for this movie just so they can throw stones at her after the fact. But the reality is, how much did Disney make off of this movie? We're talking about Scarlett Johansson's, takeaway from it. How much did this big movie company make from this? They made tons more than she did.
The whole point of her contract was a share of the revenue. And if you change the way the revenue is going to be made, then you need to change how you're sharing the revenue.
And it happened also, it was a topic of conversation with the second awful Wonder Woman. How do you say her name? Gal Gadot?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. However, she renegotiated. They renegotiated. So she got some of the back end from the streaming. Like all you have to do is work and be in good faith with your talent. And so now we
Yeah.
see it's not just Scarlett Johansson, it's Emma Stone, it's all of these other actors who are looking like, okay, all right, because yeah, people are saying, well, I made XYZ for this, but how much did the studio make? We got to be fair
Billion.
here. We got to be fair about this here. And yeah, it's a pandemic, and people aren't paying, able to pay their rent. That shouldn't even be a part of the conversation because those people might not be going to the movies anyway. Like we're talking about two totally different things here. So yes, far be it from me because I'm not a Scarlett Johansson fan, but I'm with her on this. Like, don't fuck with my money. Don't fuck with my money.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you change the terms of the contract, if you change the terms of your agreement, then you have to, change what you're giving your especially your top tier people. I mean, Scarlett Johansson being the Black Widow, shoot, I'm sure she took 20 million because she knew she was going to get a share of the revenue, right? So you take a little bit less money, knowing that you're going to get some additional residuals on the back end. So when they put out this
Exactly.
$20 million, yeah, that's a lot of money to us, but she has an expectation of making 50 million, 100 million from the movie because she put in a lot of extra work. It's just like just like if you get a commission for something, or you do a better job at it because you want to make sure that client is taken care of because they're gonna come back, they're gonna love you.
And it was her breakout movie, like
Right.
for
It's
for
another.
the Marvel universe. I think it's Marvel's universe, but so it was
It
like
is
kind
the
of a big
MCU,
deal.
but this is the last. This is her last portrayal of Black Widow, and if anything, she's cemented that it's going to be her last portrayal of Black Widow. She's aging out of the role.
Oh yeah,
Which, I mean,
true.
again, it's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, the movie actually underperformed in the theaters. And you could make the
Yeah,
argument that
it
it
did.
underperformed in the theaters
Because it was
because they
streaming.
decided to send it to streaming. And so, I mean, I know
Yeah.
I didn't watch it because we didn't have it as a part of our TLS at the movies, but if that was going to be a movie, we would have all watched it without having to pay a dime outside of our subscription. So
Yep.
Well, no, they they
that's
um
not.
they they actually charge extra for those movies, so they'll charge like $30.
It's
But the thing is, the
30 or
thirty
$35.
dollars might cover like $30 might
Mm.
cover a whole family of like 5 or 6 or 10, and whereas if they went to the movies, they would have made $300 on that same movie,
True.
No, but
that
what I'm
same
saying is
family rather.
I have I have Disney Plus. And so I would not have had to pay any more to see the movie. Like I could
Yes,
pull it
you
up right
would.
now and watch it. No, I
If that's
wouldn't.
part of your contract that you have early access, but the rest of us who
Yeah,
have a Disney
it's
Plus subscription, we have to pay an additional $35 for the first 2 months. So I pay my
oh yeah,
subscription, but
no.
if I want early access to this title, yeah, I have to pay $35. Neo has to pay
Yeah,
Oh
$35.
wow.
that's I mean, I could pull it up right now and I haven't had to pay anything. It was the same with HBO Max. Like I get all
Yeah,
movies on
HBO has a
HBO Max.
different
Um
setup.
and
I
again,
just
I
feel
work
like
for
why
Disney. So
didn't
then there's that.
Scarlett
I would have
know
been able to
that
see it
before
as
the con?
oh, what'd you say, Gianni?
I feel like why wasn't that a possibility for Scarlett to know that streaming was an option? Like it's not the first time it's heard of. Like you mentioned, Denzel knew something about like that was a scenario for
No,
him.
Denzel knew after the fact. Denzel knew after they
Oh,
announced that they were going to
okay.
send it to, they were going to do a double release it in the theaters, and then also stream it on the same day of release. It was the same with Scarlett. Like she's thinking, this is my contract,
Mm.
exclusive theatrical release. Then they come out with this, oh no, we're going to send it to Disney Plus or whatever. Total breach.
Yeah,
Total
I don't have a
breach.
problem then with them choosing
Yeah.
to do streaming because of the pandemic. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine with me.
Right.
I don't either.
Right.
It's just a matter
I
of,
mean,
okay, you have you
Include
have
that.
contracts that say something different, then you need to adjust. You need as Disney and Disney.
Mhm.
We talk about how much I know Lizzie already said it, but we talk about how much Johansson made. Disney makes so much money between ABC, Disney, the
ESPN.
Yeah.
Marvel, the ESPN. I mean, they are like they can afford to
They're
pay
huge.
her what she's due. I mean, it's almost like stealing. I mean,
And honestly, if they had renegotiated, they probably would have had the upper hand in how much she would have gotten for streaming
true. Yep. Hmm.
versus now possibly
True.
leaving that up to
Yeah.
a judge,
Hmm.
you know? So they might have shot themselves in the foot. But no, I'm all for streaming on the day of release. Listen, we possibly for our
Me
next
too.
movie might be watching Candyman, and I think all of us were kind of annoyed that it's not going to be on a stream, that we might have to leave our houses and go to the theater
Yeah.
to watch that movie in a couple of weeks. Um,
Rob said
I'm
no.
all for streaming. I'm all for streaming, but I don't like when companies, when big
Yeah.
conglomerates try to get over on their employees, regardless of how much the employee is making. I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all.
All right. Let's get to
Agreed.
some. Let's get to some of these comments online. As Gingy's about to come right on in. Um,
Again?
like, yeah, like the third time, right? All right. Daria Winter, not to line your pockets, greed prevails throughout this nation. This is from Daria Winter.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Winter points out, I also have Disney Plus, and it's $30 more. Um,
Maybe it's because I'm an employee. I ain't got to pay nothing.
he said, Mike Winter suggests you should
Lucky.
take a look at her contract to see if it contains the pandemic stuff. I mean, if it does, then that's that's on her.
Right.
Well, definitely Denzel's contract did not contain anything about any clause about the pandemic or streaming. So that's why after the fact, when he threatened, they renegotiated. Scarlett's lawyer is saying it did not contain any type of streaming clause. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that end.
Michelle Earl says Disney needs to pay up, take it out of Mickey's salary.
What's up, Shelly? What's up, Shelly?
Mickey is
Given the
trillionaire.
climate, this is again Jacqueline Robinson. Given the climate we've been in, lawyers and agents need to ensure that their clients' contracts are fluid enough to consider the gross receipts from streaming, and that's something that should
Yeah.
be considered going forward as well.
And also,
Yeah,
she's a
should.
CAA client. She's a CAA client, which is one of the biggest entertainment agencies. So the last thing Disney wants to do is piss off these agencies. That's the last thing they want to do.
All right, so what do we think about Disney getting sued? Truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Shenanigans all around.
Truth,
Yeah.
they need
Well,
they need to be sued.
I think it's true.
Truth, they need to be sued.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Come
Yeah.
on, y'all. Y'all got me agreeing with Neo up here. Let's
I
do
know, what's
better.
up with that?
Do
There's
better.
something wrong here.
Do better.
I know, this is
Do better.
amazing.
For
All right,
one.
Robbie, you have a fertility doctor using his own sperm. What's going on out there, Canada?
Well, let me tell you, buddy. So, Norman Barwin is a disgraced Ottawa fertility doctor who has agreed to pay a $13 million settlement with families, including 17 Barwin babies. So, of that 13 million, 75K has actually been set aside for a DNA database to help children identify their biological fathers. So the parents that you see there are Davina and Dan Dixon. They are named as lead plaintiffs on the class action lawsuit against Dr. Barwin. So the claim is that Dr. Barwin used the wrong sperm or even his own sperm in the conception of at least 100 children. 100 children. So the class action has grown to over 226 members, including former patients, children conceived through artificial insemination, and really, I have to put it out there. This was not the first story like this. So why do people keep spending tens of thousands of dollars for a baby when there's so many children deserving of families waiting to be adopted?
All together now, panel.
Same
Because they
reason.
want babies.
Their own babies.
I'm not sure what the adoption procedures are in Canada, but it's not just easy. It's not easy to get up and go and adopt a child. It's very difficult. It's very costly. And then you have to deal with the ramifications of when do you tell your child that he or she was adopted? Do they want to leave your family and jump over to the biological parents' family? Like there's a lot that goes into that. And I don't fault anyone who wants to have a child that is a part of their biological DNA. There's some women who want to be pregnant. Me not being one of them at this late stage in my life, but I understand it. I understand it. So I don't, knock anyone who is doing this. All of the onus, all of the shame should be put on this doctor. Because one, it's unethical. Okay. It's
Yeah,
definitely unethical. In some states, it's against the law. It's been
should be.
the subject of at least two Law and Order episodes, at
Yeah.
least two. So I put all of the blame on him, and I don't think $13 million is enough.
No, I don't think so either.
Like he should
Yeah,
be sent
at
into
all.
Because
immediate
they
bankruptcy.
split it. It's a class action lawsuit, so they're
Yeah,
splitting $13 million.
they would get like
Yes.
$50
No,
each after they pay their
no.
lawyers and everything.
Yeah,
And I
after
think he should
after you
do
pay
some jail
lawyers.
time.
Yeah.
I
It
think he
said
should
like
do some jail
25
time.
to 40,000 each to
What's that
each
gonna do?
like child. I know,
I
right?
mean,
25.
it's not like these parents can now go and have more children or have children of their own because now they still, I don't know. I agree. I think because I want children, and if it's, I certainly would prefer my own DNA. But I'm with you, Robbie, in the sense that if it can't be, I'm absolutely adopting. Um, so
Yeah.
it's not going to be a one or the other, but certainly it's reasonable to want to try to have your own child with your own, I mean, biology. I don't think that's unreasonable for anyone since it's possible. You know, now, if it's possible, why not? Why not do it? And it does cost a lot of money, yes, but at the same time, it can be worth it to a lot of people. Plus, like I said, I'd adopt. I'd adopt if I can't. If for some
I would
reason
adopt
it
too,
doesn't happen or I can't, yeah, adoption is still an option. It doesn't
but young.
eliminate the option for adoption. It just means that hey, and I can do both. Shoot, I can have my own
Mhm.
child
There are
using
people that
fertility
have done
I
both.
wouldn't do both.
and adopt.
There are people that have done both.
Yeah.
There are people that have done
Mhm.
both.
So I don't
You
think it should be.
know,
Certainly should. I mean, yeah, we got crazy people who do stupid stuff like this, and yeah, you never know.
Yeah, what?
You never know what you're getting sometimes because you can't sit there
Right?
and overlook their shoulder while they're inseminating the sperm and all these other stuff.
Yeah.
You can never
and
know
also,
Because
100%.
too, the one of the reasons why I say that he should be jailed, because we don't know what type of vetting process this ghost sperm has been through, especially if it's him. We don't know what type of diseases or
Yeah.
what his pedigree, what his genealogy,
Deficiencies,
is. So
Mhm.
it's he should be jailed, and he should be fined. The lawsuit should be
bankrupt.
$100 million. a hundred
Yeah.
million
Yeah,
dollars
I think it should be
at this
somewhere
point.
around there. I
That's
mean, there
over a
is the thing
hundred. So
about like if you do make it too much, then he can't. The insurance companies won't pay out, and then
Well,
you get
Mhm.
nothing.
what?
I get that. However, I want him to be crippled where he can barely
Yeah.
breathe.
I totally agree with
That's just
So
me.
so why wouldn't the insurance companies pay any? I'm still
Oh,
stuck on
because
that. Wait, why
insurance,
would they do that?
Because people. Okay,
girl.
so when you get insurance, right? Say let's say you have a business and you get insurance. There's a maximum amount that you usually say, okay, I'm going to apply for $20 million in insurance coverage, or I'm going to apply for $10 million in insurance coverage. And then that's
Yeah.
the maximum benefit if something goes wrong or something bad goes wrong. An insurance company will pay out. The rest of it would have to come from the individual, the doctor. And so let's say it's 13 million, right? And his top benefit was $10 million. So the insurance company will pay 10 million. He has to come up with another 3 million. Now, if you make it $100 million, an insurance company is still only paying 10 million, and he somehow has to come up with another $90 million, which he probably doesn't have, then the most they're going to get is a share of that 10 million from the insurance company because all he'll do is file for bankruptcy and have bankruptcy protection.
But he'll probably do
Oh,
that in this particular case anyway. But in
Probably.
terms of insurance companies, just a quick thing, Gianni, like insurance companies are not your friend. Like if there's an
yeah.
opportunity for them to say, we're not going to pay you, they're going to say, we're not going to pay you. They're going to keep it in litigation for years and years and years. So yeah, never trust the insurance company.
Yeah.
That's like bad
Mhm.
insurance companies or in general? Like that's
All
It's
their
Oh,
MO.
insurance
that's
companies.
insurance.
it's
Okay.
Right.
All, because think about it, they
Okay.
wouldn't make any
they're
money.
protecting
They wouldn't make
themselves.
any money if they had to continuously pay millions
Oh,
and millions and
payout.
millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't make any money.
True.
So
And I will say I've
True.
dealt with some insurance companies, and some of them are better than others in terms of their payout. Um, some of them they do try to settle, but when you try to fight back, they do get a little vicious. But I've dealt with some insurance companies that settled well, reasonably with me. So,
I
all
learned
right,
something new.
bunch
Thank
of
you guys.
comments online on this one. So this was a popular one, Rob B. All right, people. Olivia says because some people want biological children. Nothing wrong with that. Fred Hargrove says it is a personal decision. Jacqueline Robinson says it's unethical, and on a shallow note, he's not that attractive.
yeah,
Plus, there's no
you
telling
know,
what kind of genetic diseases he may have. Fred Hargrove
Yeah.
says, whose sperm do they think they're getting? Did he provide fake profiles or something?
that's another good
I
question.
know.
Right.
That's
That's another
fraud
good
then.
question because in a lot
Yeah.
of situations, you do pick which sperm you want to use. You pick from a
True.
profile. Um, it's assumed that that profile, that person has been vetted, even though you don't get that person's name. So that's another variable
But I
iteration
mean,
of this process.
you can create any profile that you want. Okay, so hey, you know what? I want some from lot XJV876, and that could be anybody. You have no idea. Buyer beware. You have no idea what you're actually getting because
I mean, I
you're
have,
not the one collecting, storing, and inseminating.
That's
That's
but
the only
that's
true.
person who
but
knows.
that's the same as if I choose to go out and sleep with somebody at the bar and have a kid. But through this process, they're supposed to be vetted. That's the thing.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
safety net that's supposed to happen.
Yep. Olivia says he should pay child support for all his babies.
Then there you go. Speak on it,
That's a
Olivia.
good one.
Speak on it.
Yeah.
That's a
Jacqueline
good
Robinson
one.
says exactly, Neil. The last thing you want is a defendant to declare bankruptcy, even if the insurance company pays the policy limit. And then when Daria says, "What is the Hippocratic oath that he's to honor?" He is a doctor. Now, Gianni, did you get to
Yep.
comment on this one? I know we ran out of time quick.
No.
Go ahead. What are your thoughts
Oh,
on that?
um, I mean, I don't really know. I think that I don't really know. I think that it's insane. I have heard a story like this before though. Like Rob said, but I don't think that this is something that can be that common. And like you guys said as well, I would advocate for adoption, but I definitely think everybody has a right to have their own type of children. I personally would want to adopt because I don't want to have any like birth pains.
Oh,
That's why I don't.
so you're not up for children. You ready to adopt right now.
Yeah,
All
unless they
right.
can give me like some type of medicine to like, I don't know, it's too
All right,
painful.
panel. We calling this fertility doctor truth, lies, or shenanigans? I'm going with
Asshole. That's what
lies.
I'm calling him.
Asshole.
Shenanigans.
Asshole.
Horrible.
Lies. He's a liar. All right. Good
Truth,
topic.
lies, shenanigans.
All right, Lizzie. Michael Che is up to his antics again. So what do we have going on?
So I mentioned to most people who know me know that I really am not a big fan of comedians, and this
Yes.
is one of the examples why. Comedians tend to think that there's a joke to be made about everything. And I completely disagree with that. And so this young man, Michael Che, he is a comedian and one of the writers and anchors for Saturday Night Live. So this week he decided hopefully everyone knows now about Simone Biles, the greatest female gymnast on the planet. She decided that she was going to pull out from the team competition this week and individual competitions this week in Tokyo because she said she was having some mental health issues and because she had what is called the twisties. The twisties, I guess, can be described something kind of like vertigo, where once you get in the air, there's a sense of dizziness and you really have no bearing of where you are. And a lot of gymnasts have, come out and said, I know exactly what she's talking about. So when she came out
Yeah.
and said that, she was going to withdraw from the competition, Michael Che decided that he was, some people say allegedly, went on his social media platforms and he typed, "Man, I want to make fun of Simone Biles." He said, "I got like 3 minutes of Simone Biles jokes in my head. As the dorky kids say, I'm choosing violence." He went on with this segment
Sorry.
on his social media platform to allow people to write in or post on his page to at him their favorite Simone Biles jokes, and he would rank them 1 out of 10. And so there was one that said something to the effect of, "Well, she's proof that black cracks," because there's a joke that says "black don't crack." And so he gave that particular joke a 9 out of 10. But then there was also a joke that referenced her sexual abuse by former gymnastics physician Larry Nasser. And he gave that joke a 9 out of 10 as well. So my question, so now he's receiving a lot of backlash from, of course, social media, because social media will gather you up in 2
Yeah,
seconds.
they will.
A lot of backlash from social media, a lot of backlash from people who are Michael Che fans, who are Saturday Night Live fans. It should be noted, however, that Saturday Night Live broadcasts on NBC. NBC has an exclusive contract with the Olympics. Okay. So, my question to the panel: what should the punishment be for Michael Che?
Hmm.
Michael Che, who is saying that he was hacked, because that's what they all say after they get exposed and gather up. He's saying that he was hacked. He deleted all of the I can't remember if they were tweets or
How long was, I'm curious, how long were these comments going on, these ratings and stuff? Was it like a day or?
Yeah.
at least for a few hours. At least for a few hours. Because there's some people who sit on social media on Twitter all day. And so it doesn't take long. If you post something stupid, it's gonna, the turnaround is gonna be almost instantaneous.
I will say, knowing Michael
Um,
Che's comedy, this doesn't surprise me.
but he defended it initially, which
Yeah, I
he has
know.
done in the
He
past.
has defended
He
it. He
has
did defend
posted
it.
offensive stuff. He defended it initially. Then he gave, the bullshit mea culpa, which again was in a joke form. So, as an employee of NBC, which has this exclusive contract with the Olympics, as a black man shaming a black woman publicly, as a human being, what do you guys think should be the punishment for Michael Che?
I'll start. I'll go ahead and start. So, I mean, and I agree with the comment that Olivia just made. I think it should be investigated before we start talking about punishing him and all that stuff. So, NBC needs to make sure they find out if he was really hacked. Because if he's claiming it, he may have been
How
hacked.
can you
I
find
don't know.
that out?
But I'm
How
with,
can you
Easily.
find that out?
IT people,
yeah,
easily.
you can
I
find
mean,
it. Yeah, but I'm just saying, I know I know his comedy, and it just doesn't. What he did, and even the way he worded it, sounds like Michael Chatham. So, I I'd be surprised if it really wasn't him. I would be shocked. But with that being said,
let me
I
just say,
uh,
one of the reasons why I honestly think that it was him. So I thought this was on Twitter, but this was on his Instagram story, right? And Instagram, if I, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have the opportunity to design your Instagram background for your story however you choose to. So it was quite
Yeah.
funny that, the actual jokes about Simone Biles that appeared on his Instagram story had the same background, the same design as the apology that he gave when he said that he was hacked. It was the exact
Yeah.
same background.
Mhm.
Just
as far
saying.
as
Okay.
punishment, I don't know. I'm a little iffy on
You should be
cancel culture
canceled.
towards comedians, just because. And I get your
Mhm.
affinity to dislike comedians, but part of are, what they do is be offensive. And that's part of a lot of their comedy, and that's the purpose. I mean, Dave Chappelle complains about it all the time. In every special he's done, he's complained about this cancel
He does.
culture, and he's surprised that so many people have even survived. he said his audiences are getting rigid, and everything is now like offensive to everyone. He's like, everything is offensive now. And so it's a challenging time for comedians. Um, so I'm a little iffy on comedians. I'm not saying they should get a pass, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just the internet, the social media has kind of changed the game a bit, but unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. So Gianni and Robbie, I'm gonna let you guys get in. Gianni,
Um, I feel like cancel culture is gonna do what they do, but if you put your opinions out there, then it is what it is. I love comedians though. I think that my favorite comedian, Cat Williams, can be very disrespectful, but
did you say
but I
can
think
be?
that
You should have just said Cat Williams
and
is very
offensive
He's
and
disrespectful.
homophobic. Yeah, and I don't personally agree with homophobic comedy or jokes or things like that or racist things like that. But I don't know. There's a time and a place. Like read the room, Michael Che. Read the room. Like he could have done that.
Robbie,
Um, I I don't think that there should really be a punishment. And to quote Bo Burnham, when he was asked if certain subjects are ever off limits in comedy, his response was, "Not really. You just have to be a very good comedian to deal with it, in the same way that only an expert sushi chef can prepare pufferfish, relying on specialist tools and years of practice to remove the poisonous liver." And I think that brilliant comedians are really good at dissecting things. There is humor to be found in every situation. There's
No,
that
there isn't.
everyone's got that little dark part of
No, there
them
isn't.
where
No, there
No,
isn't.
there
you
isn't.
laugh
No,
over
there
the
isn't.
course of your lifetime.
No,
You've
there
laughed
isn't.
at really inappropriate things. You
I
absolutely
have,
have.
but that
Everybody.
doesn't mean I
I've
should
laughed at
have.
a funeral.
That
even
doesn't
if
mean
it's
I should
days
have.
later or months later,
That doesn't mean I
years
should
later, I've
have.
gone long back and it laughed at like really
That doesn't mean I
somber.
should have. And let me tell you, there are
Oh,
elements of people's
But
lives.
laughter can bring you out of funks very
No,
well. It can
there's
bring me
certain
out of
there's
funks very well.
and that's you. But what I'm saying is that you think Simone Biles is laughing that someone made fun of the fact that she was sexually abused by
Certainly
her
not.
gymnastic
no,
doctor?
certainly not.
Absolutely not.
Certainly not.
And so
No.
my thing is, we should not be giving people passes to be offensive, to be racist,
All right,
to be misogynist, simply because there is a
we got to
joke, a
shut it down. We
potential
got to shut
joke
it down.
there.
All right. So
No, and I agree. That joke that was contributed about Nasser was completely tasteless, and it should have been removed
and that's the
rather
nature of
than
social media,
encouraged and
unfortunately.
derided. Yeah. So I mean, I'll definitely, and on that front, not everything that every comedian says is funny or appropriate. It's you're going to you're going to say shit that's going to get you in trouble. But in this instance, it could have been managed via social media, where it's to put it out there. I'm thinking, I've got 3 minutes of jokes. He never went on an attack, but then when people started submitting their stuff,
All right.
yeah,
But the
Or
thing
he could
it
have
is,
could have
just
been
said it
managed
to his
better.
own group
yeah,
of
he didn't have
people.
to pay anything. Like this wasn't something that he was being commissioned for or paid for. This wasn't a part of a
Right.
stand-up routine. This was on Instagram where he's like, I feel like I want to make fun of Simone Biles. Well, no one asked you to make fun of Simone Biles, especially since there's a certain faction in this country that's already doing that,
All right.
that
Yeah.
doesn't look like you, bruh. And so now you're joining all of those other people who, again, don't look like you, making fun of this Black woman who has come out in her most vulnerable state saying,
F.
I
We
need to
gotta
take a
cut it
step
off. We
back.
gotta cut it off. All right. So Ephraim Ali Slash says yes. It's one of the universal. I mean, Olivia says. Well, sorry. The comments just popped up. So Ephraim says his person is innocent until proven guilty. Then Olivia says yes. It's
That's
one of
only
the
in a
universal
courtroom.
human rights. Say it again.
Innocent until proven guilty is only a
Court of law.
matter of law.
Yep.
That
Thank
has
you.
nothing to do with regular
Yes,
people.
I totally agree with that. 100%. Um, let's see. It should be investigated first. Cancel it. Darian Wynn says cancel his contract, assuming it is true. Of course, Neo. Mike Winter says if you can only be funny by being mean to people, then you kind of suck as a comedian. Which goes to Robbie Rob's
Kinda
point,
true.
actually.
That's kind of
Boom.
true. If you can only pick on people.
Fred Hargrove said he should have thought this through better. Any backlash will drive the punishment. He will lose viewership. Jacqueline Robinson also says, let's talk about the attacks on Black women. Yeah. That's a whole other topic because that is
Yeah,
Might
that's
be my,
another
might be my
story.
topic
That's a
next
show.
week. Might be my topic
let's
next
do
week.
it. Let's bring it. All right.
Yeah.
So truth, lies, shenanigans. What are we saying? This is definitely
Bullshit.
shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. Shenanigans. All right.
A whole bunch of
And see,
shenanigans.
I didn't even cut the brother down in my critique. You
You
know, I
didn't.
could have
You
gone
did it.
in.
You spared
I could have
him.
gone in.
All right. Let's get our game show in. All right. Today we are playing truth or lie. And it's really, really simple. I'll ask each of you a question, and you'll tell me if you think it's a truth or a lie. I'm starting with this one because your one hasn't seen it yet, Lizzie. The blue whale is the longest animal in the world. Is this a truth or a lie?
Truth.
False.
What?
Whoa.
I believe it's a
Lies.
snake. I believe it's a snake. The
No
longest
way.
animal in the world. I believe it's a certain snake, like
It's a
anaconda or
giraffe.
something.
No, God,
I would've-
Johnny.
But no, that is incorrect, Lizzie. I forgot my.
But did it say what?
Doesn't
I
give
know
you the
it
answer.
didn't
No.
It's
Yeah,
a
so then-
siphon.
so then
It's
this
called the
game makes no
siphonophore. It's
This
called
game
the
makes no
siphonophore.
sense if we can't get what the actual answer is.
I know.
Why
There's
would
no
Then why would I
knowledge.
believe it?
There's an animal called the siphonosaur. Siphonophore. It's a 46-meter sea worm, if you will.
A sea worm.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Aren't you
All
glad
right.
you knew? Asked.
This one is for Gianni, who loves her astrology. If you cry in space, the tears just stick to your face. Truth or lie?
False.
This is
Please be false.
true. If you cry in space, because
Why
it
would they
freezes
stick
on
to your
contact.
face?
Freezes on
I
contact.
thought it goes up. Like I thought
Jesus.
the gravity, the lack of. Okay, I'm.
All right.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Tears
Robbie
in
Rock.
space.
The largest cruise ship in the world can accommodate 15,300 people. Seems kind of
Sure, that sounds good.
It sounds so specific. It is false.
What?
You all got it wrong.
That
Okay,
was
let's
very
go.
specific.
Metrophobia is the phobia of poetry. Lizzie, is this true or false? Metrophobia.
Because
Lizzie,
Metro's like
still there?
false.
I'm sorry. I was reading about tears in space.
Metrophobia is it the phobia of poetry? Yes, true or false?
Metrophobia.
Metrophobia? I gotta look it up.
You can't look it up.
I'm gonna.
You're not.
I'm
answering.
gonna say
Oh.
Gianni can look it up.
Gianni can
Yeah,
look it up.
Gianni can. I'm gonna say false.
That is true. Metrophobia, the fear of poetry. All right, next.
Who has that?
Jesus Christ died at age 32. Is this true or false? Gianni Storm.
According to what they teach us, yes, that's
True?
I think.
This is
Yes.
false.
My
Okay,
God.
so
Robbie Rock.
They lied.
Truth or lie? Sunbathing increases men's sexual appetite.
This is a solar panel that I'm recharging.
You got to
It's
soak
true.
your hand. It's a solar panel. All right. You said true?
Yeah.
It is
No.
true. That's the first true answer. All right, last round. Oh, gosh. Lizzie, the taste of semen depends on the person's diet.
I wouldn't know.
But
Next question.
can you make a guess? Is it true or false?
She said
Next
pass.
question.
We'll say true. That is true, by the way.
Oh, so
Alright.
you've tasted semen?
I'm just
Woo!
the
You
answer to
telling
the
on
question.
yourself
I haven't.
today. You telling on yourself today.
Whatever.
I don't know. If asparagus makes my pee smell funny.
Yeah. That's true. That
All
would
right,
make
Lizzie, I'll
sense.
give you this one. Brown men are statistically much more unfaithful than blonde men.
What?
I don't know where this is coming from. This is an app, by
Hair
the way. This
color?
is not me writing these.
First of all, you can be brown and blonde. First of all, you
Oh,
can
that's
be
true.
brown and blonde.
That's a good point.
But I'm gonna say this is false.
Yes, it's definitely false. All right, Robbie Rock. Oh, well, let me do Gianni Storm first. The shortest war in history lasted 45 minutes.
That's a lie.
False?
I mean, false.
It is true. All right, Robbie Rock. This could be for the
I say
win.
that depends on what we're calling a war. What are we calling a war?
That's another
Right.
good point. All right. 28% of women have experienced orgasms when watching TV commercials.
That's a huge
What are
percent.
what are they doing while they're watching the commercial? There's no context.
Is this truth or lie?
I gotta
What
say
kind of
false.
commercial?
I've watched a lot of TV with women. That's false.
That is correct. That means Rob B wins another game in a row.
This is a bullshit game. Bullshit game. And tears are not freezing in space. The reason why tears are not going all over the place because of gravity in space has nothing to do with them freezing. Now, metrophobia is something that I learned today. That was true.
Okay.
That is the fear
That
of
was
poetry.
That's real. That's so weird.
And the
to have a fear over.
siphonophore, 46-meter sea worm.
Darius
I don't
Gary
remember
Winter says
that
the
one.
fear of DC Metro.
That's what I thought.
The fear of the red
No,
line,
New
as
York-
Jacqueline
no, the
Robinson
New York
said.
Metro. New York Metro. Fear of the A train in New York.
Z,
sounds
Z's
right.
on. Z said, y'all still cheating at TLS, huh?
Oh, yes, see.
All right, let's get into some shout out. All right, let's start off with Robbie Rock today.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to give a shout out to everyone who might be feeling the effects of prolonged social isolation due to COVID. Stay connected however you can. Keep masking up because the number of variant cases is on the rise.
All right, Lizzie.
In that same vein, I'm going to give a shout out to all you Bamas out here who have forced Washington, D.C. to go back under mask protocols. Do what you're supposed to do. Get vaccinated, socially distance properly, and wear your mask. We are about to be locked down again, folks.
CDC
I
made
don't
a
think
mistake.
Yeah.
They
y'all
were
aren't
dumb
taking
for
this
getting that.
seriously. We are about to be locked down again. Do what you need to do and stay the F out of my face. Regardless.
Yanni Storm, shout outs.
Shout out to all of the people with metrophobia. That's very interesting. I don't almost feel like it doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. Okay, that's weird.
I'm
but,
an English major
shout
and
out
an
to you
English professor. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that.
See?
Who's scared of
Liz said
poetry?
it.
All
Doesn't
right.
exist.
All right, my shout out is to my beautiful, beautiful wife. Tomorrow's our 6-year anniversary. It's been a whirlwind 6 years, but I have to say, I'm so happy that I was finally able to find the love of my life. And thank you, Mel, for saying yes 6 years and a month ago. Appreciate you.
That's a long time.
Our final shout out goes to our Pet Shenanigans winner. And that's Flora Vanessa Leal posted her beautiful kitties with the caption,
What?
Hello from my boys in Texas. And they got a
How
lot
that?
of love.
cute. They have cool markings. Wow.
They are
Very
cute.
unique.
To see
I know,
all of our
that's really
beautiful
neat.
pets or to post your favorite pet's photo, please make sure you join the TLS Pet Shenanigans Facebook group. The photo with the most likes and comments gets a TLS shout out each and every week. And that is officially all of the time we have for our show today. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope that maybe you learned something, gained a new perspective, or even got some things off your chest. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share. Tomorrow, check out YouTube for our clips, TLSshow.com. And our next TLS Live show is on Sunday, August 8th, where we'll have another Olympian just in time for the closing ceremonies. Before swimmer Simone Manuel, there was Maritza McClendon, who was the first female African-American swimmer for the United States to win an Olympic medal, and the first Black American swimmer to set both an American and world record for swimming. She'll be joining us next week live, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Gianni Storm and Olivia E. will be going unscripted once again. And our winner for our final thought is once again Rob B. Rock.
My final thought is to just share with everyone how hard this entire TLS team works for you. Week in, week out. I have so much respect for everyone that works behind the scenes that helps prop up the team, and to all of our super fans that support us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you. It's greatly appreciated.
I'd like to thank Olympian Yvonne Wade for joining us. Thank you, Gianni.
You, Yvonne,
thank you,
girl.
Rob.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Yvonne.
Lizzie, and Josie and Olivia. And most importantly, I want to thank you, our audience, for joining us. And we will see you next time.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies.